You ever get that feeling that you're just going through the motions, kind of disconnected from some deeper purpose you're supposed to have? It's a crazy common feeling. Well, today, we're diving into a pretty wild theory that asks, what if this unawareness thing isn't actually our natural state at all? Let's get into it. So, to figure out where we are now, we first got to understand what we've supposedly lost. The core idea we're digging into is that this constant struggle for self-awareness, the one so many of us feel, was never supposed to be a struggle to begin with. It's a modern problem, not a natural part of being human. And that right there is the central mystery we're trying to unpack. If awareness is supposed to be our default setting, why does finding it now feel like climbing a mountain? What is actually standing in our way? So check this out. This slide really puts it into perspective, a kind of then versus now. The theory goes that, in the past, awareness was just intuitive. It was something you could click into in a matter of days, connecting you to your life's mission almost right from the get-go. But today, totally different story. The source material points to what it calls engineered obstacles, everything from blocks at the DNA level to a social environment that actively discourages that deep inner connection. It's turned something natural into a lifelong battle. Okay, so if this struggle isn't natural, does that mean it's intentional? Is this all part of some grand design? To even begin to answer that, we have to zoom way out and look at this from a much, much higher perspective. And from that higher viewpoint, the answer is supposedly crystal clear. This was never the plan. The source we're looking at explains that for your higher self, you can think of that as the eternal core part of your consciousness. A life lived in unawareness is basically a wasted trip. It provides almost zero valuable experience. It's seen as a bug, a failure, definitely not a feature. So if it's a failure, why was it ever allowed to happen? Well, here's the crucial twist. It was tolerated, not wanted. The source frames it as a necessary evil, a sort of temporary safety measure during really chaotic times, which it calls mental wars, periods when connecting to a higher consciousness was actually considered too dangerous. Which, of course, leads us to the big question. If being unaware is so counterproductive, so inefficient, why on earth was it allowed to become the default setting for so many people? The answer, according to this theory, is a fascinating and, honestly, a little unsettling concept called the management game. And this idea of a management game is the absolute heart of the explanation. It reframes our collective state of unawareness not as some random accident, but as a key feature of a different, much more controlling kind of system. So what is it, exactly? Well, think of it as a backup plan. If a person can't wake up and consciously take the reins of their life's mission, this system is designed to kick in and guide them indirectly. They basically become a pawn in a much larger game, a vessel for a purpose they don't even know exists. And this slide just nails the two possible roles. You're either a player, aware, conscious, actively making your own moves, or you're a chess piece, unaware, being moved by invisible hands, fulfilling a role without ever getting to see the whole board. Man, this drone analogy from the source material really makes it click. The drone flies around, executes these super complex tasks perfectly, but it has zero awareness of the pilot, the mission, or the bigger picture. It's just following a program. And the really chilling question is, how often are we the drone? Okay, so if we entertain this idea of a management game, you have to ask, how does it work? How is the state of unawareness, this drone state, maintained on such a massive scale? We're about to break down the 6 key structures the source identifies for how it's all done. But first, why? Why would a system like this even be created? Well, the logic presented is cold. It's utilitarian. As you can see here, at certain points in history, there was a massive cleanup job that needed to be done, processing negative energy or clearing what some call karmic debts. And to do this kind of low-level work, a large, unaware, and easily managed population was seen as way more efficient than a bunch of self-aware individuals. This perceived need became the justification for creating a whole system of external control. So how do you keep people in that unaware state? The basic method is to trap a person's consciousness in a kind of loop which stops it from connecting with their higher self. And the source outlines 6 primary ways this is done. Let's walk through them. First up is idolatry. And note, we're not just talking about statues. This is about convincing people that there's only one true channel to the divine, one book, one guru, one institution. By funneling all belief into this narrow bottleneck, it effectively cuts people off from their own direct personal line to a higher consciousness. Number 2, material fixation. Man, this one is everywhere. It's all about trapping a person's focus completely on the material world. The job, the car, the mortgage, the next gadget. It keeps our consciousness locked in that rat race loop, so busy chasing stuff that we have no time or energy left to look for something more. Third on the list, hyperrationalism. This is when the logical mind becomes a total tyrant. It's the belief that if you can't measure it, test it in a lab, and prove it, it simply doesn't exist. This over-reliance on pure logic can completely drown out that quieter, more subtle voice of intuition, the voice of the soul, dismissing it all as just illogical nonsense. Fourth, we have agnosticism. And this goes beyond just saying, I don't know. It's an active belief system that denies the very existence of any reality beyond the physical one we see. It basically flattens the universe, convincing people that there are no higher dimensions, no deeper levels of consciousness. What you see is all you get. Fifth is creating subjective worldviews. This is the whole echo chamber and ideological bubble phenomenon. When everyone is living in their own manipulated version of reality, it's pretty much impossible to agree on any kind of objective truth. This division and confusion prevents people from seeing the larger control structure that they're all a part of. And finally, number 6, deconcentration. This one might just be the most powerful and insidious structure in our modern world. Through the constant notifications, the endless scrolling, what they call clip thinking, our ability to focus is just shattered. And without the ability for deep, sustained concentration, well, achieving higher awareness becomes almost impossible. So, we've looked at the game, the roles you can play in it, and the 6 big structures that supposedly keep people unaware. And all of this leads us to one profound, and let's be honest, very personal question. And this right here is the chilling summary of it all. A mission can be accomplished, a purpose can be fulfilled, all by someone who has no clue they're even part of a plan. The drone carries out its orders perfectly, completely unaware of the pilot holding the controls. And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway. It's the one question that really challenges us to look deeply at our own lives, our motivations, our own level of awareness. And it's so simple, but it's huge. If you are the drone, how would you know?